presented by Dr. Pepper, as the Dallas Cowboys take down the New York Jets 30-10 from AT&T Stadium. Their 9th straight home win, their first win over the Jets since 2007, and more importantly, a 2-0 start to the 2023 regular season. Their first 2-0 start since 2019. Welcome into the Star in Frisco, everybody. We're here with Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans, breaking down the Cowboys 20, the city of New York 10 over the first 2 weeks of the season. 70-10, they've outscored their first two opponents, and it really starts with the defensive side.
Oh, without a doubt, it starts with the defense. I mean, this is another dominating performance from the Dallas Cowboys, led by their main guy, Micah Parsons. I mean, when you're able to get after the quarterback the way these guys can, it makes the offensive side of the football null and void. I mean, you look at what they were doing to Zach Wilson out there, just harassing him. He had no time to throw the football. The only play they gave up on that over by Garrett Wilson, I mean, they still had guys right in front of him, right in his lap. So to me, the sky's the limit for this defense. They're dominating. You see the edge. You see the edge with Parsons. You see the edge with DeMarcus Lawrence out there, and they're stopping the run. That was the Achilles heel for the Dallas Cowboys last year. They came into this thing with two studs at the backfield, Cook and Hall. Held them to 64 yards. I mean, that to me, that's a performance that's noteworthy. And his defense, they're leading the charge well.
Yeah, that was their SAT, and they passed it with flying colors. I mean, they wanted to know, can you stop the run against the New York Jets offense that obviously had two dogs, and they did so. So kudos on that point. But one of the things I want to point out, they only allowed 215 yards total offense to the Jets. And then offensively, what do we always say that Coach McCarthy wants to do? He wants to play keep away. Well, he did so. Won the time of possession game, 42 minutes to 17 minutes.
Wow.
Like, are you kidding me?
Unheard of.
There's nothing that you can do offensively for the Jets to overcome that diverse of a. I mean, man,
42.
I don't even know what to say.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. I've never heard that stat. Right? Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Okay, you lost for words. What can I say? I can't add anything on to that. Micah Parsons had a hell of a day. Osa had a hell of a day. Diggs turned out to have a hell of a day. I mean, the defense played dominant. They played in their lanes. They did what they needed to do. We talked about that crossover that Parsons has developed. I mean, he did Dwayne Brown, or left tackle in. He hit him with it 2 or 3 times. He hit the center with it twice. This guy made play after play after play, and the rest of the defense just followed in behind.
Yeah, 4 takeaways for the Dallas defense. A lot of those coming in the back half of the game. I mean, the Kurtz interception, Hooker interception, Diggs interception, all coming in the second half. But they're on track for 60 takeaways this year. After 7 in the first 2. That's what they've got, 60 takeaways. They've led the league in the 30s the last 2 years. So, I mean, they've done everything they've needed to. But, Nate, you talked about it. The defensive front sets the tone.
Yes.
But they set the tone in a different way today by stopping the run. They only had the 3 sacks, 2 for Micah Parsons and then the 1 early on as well. That's it. That's all they had in terms of sacks. But what has this defense shown you about shoring up the spots that were a bit of a problem spot last year?
And like we talked before, Jonathan Hankins has been doing a good job of leading right here. But Osa has been the biggest improvement. He's shooting the gap, not only shooting the gap, but he's reading as he's shooting the gap, so he's going into the right gaps. And your linebackers are coming down here. Leighton Vander Esch is coming down here. What's the new guy? Clark. They're coming down here, and they're not missing tackles. That is the great thing about this team. They're tackling well, they're playing as a unit, and everybody's staying in their lane, stopping the run so they can eat, so Michael Parsons can eat.
We talked about it earlier, obviously in the pregame show. You know, Michael Parsons just creating mismatches, and Dan Quinn's putting these guys in position to be successful. It's hard to stop when you have all these guys lining up, and the fact that you're lining up these matchups one-on-one. You talked about the jab step. I think I saw Myles Garrett doing it last week. We came up and crossing him over. I think Michael Parsons might have saw that film because he hit him with the Anthony Hardaway, and then just simply just sauced him up, right? But when you're out there and you have 5-on-5. Name an offense in this league that can defend or guard against this defense of 5-on-5. You can't. And if you have 6-on-5, well, you're going to spend 2 guys on Micah Parsons. That still makes you 1-on-1 with everybody else. So it makes it very difficult, especially when you have Gilmore taking the ball away and you have Diggs taking the ball away as well on the outside. Oh, and if you want to throw it over the top, there's a hooker back there too.
As well. I mean, when you look at this defense, the one thing that also stuck out to me is when you talk about the money down, that's 3rd down. This defense held the Jets to 1 for 10. 1 for 10 on third down. When you could do that, I mean, the sky's the limit. The offense gets the ball right back. I mean, it's going to be tough to beat this squad because we don't understand how they rush the quarterback and how they can stop the run.
Coach McCarthy kept playing keep away, and that just falls right into the hands of Dan Quinn and his as a mad scientist.
Yes,
I feel like by the end of the year, Cowboys Nation's going to get tired of hearing about complimentary football. But that's what this West Coast offense, this Texas toast, whatever you want to call it, that's what this is predicated on. It's helping your defense. It's finding a way to keep them fresh as the game goes along. But on the offensive side, they did a good job of holding on to possession. A couple times where they probably could have finished inside the 10-yard line, struggled to finally finish drives in the red zone. If you had one knock on the game today, I think that's probably it. But they took care of the football. They took time off the clock. They ran the ball effectively, and Dak Prescott was throwing it around the yard.
Yeah, he was cool, calm, and collected pretty much the entire game. I think he has a full confidence in this offense. But I tell you what, when you talk about a guy stepping up, look at CeeDee Lamb out there. Last year, this was a slow start for him. The first, I think, 5 or 6 games, he wasn't even above 100 yards. Now he's taking that number 1 role, and he's taking it and running with it. I mean, look, Cooks is out. Gallup's not really back to himself yet. Just get the ball in CeeDee's hands, and all things are going to be good. And that's exactly what happened.
And what you have to like is how Tolbert just stepped up early
Yeah,
in the game just to get things warmed up, and then this guy took over Isaiah.
There's one thing that I liked, one thing I didn't like. Okay, one thing I did not like was how often Dak Prescott threw the ball. He threw the ball 38 times. In this West Coast offense, that's a lot of attempts. However, 81% completion. Right? So you talk 31 for 38. You know the other thing that I like? Let's go ahead and go to the fact that they had 81 plays on offense.
Oh, my goodness.
Are you kidding me? So you talk about the 42 minutes of time of possession. You got 81 plays, and you got your quarterback throwing for 81%. It's hard to beat.
Yes, it is.
44 rush attempts. 44 rush attempts for 134 yards. The average wasn't great, but the time of possession, how it was, and you know what we liked about that is how quick they was getting to the line of scrimmage and they slowing down.
That's why you got 81 plays.
Dak scanning to see what's happening. I like how they're doing this, and I like the personnel. You talked about that last week, how they had so much personnel, the different looks that they're going to get, the Turpins. And what's the young man? I don't want to call him a little fella. The young man. Dudes. Yeah, that grown young man. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, this thing is rocking.
It really is. And the 38 pass attempts for Dak Prescott today, that's a different shade of 38 than what we saw with Kellen Moore in the past as the offensive coordinator. That's not the same 1-and-1 because you had 44 rush attempts. That's just holding on to the ball. Right. Your defense getting it back to you and then putting together drives like that. I think for the most part it was balanced. Like I said, wasn't perfect in the red zone, but outside of that, I think this offense has continued to show some improvement. We've talked offense. We've talked defense. We got to get out of here, but before we do, I've got to talk special teams. Brandon Aubrey, a 55-yard field goal, the fourth Dallas Cowboys rookie kicker to make at least 5 field goals in a game since Dan Bailey. He was the first one in 2011. Dan Bailey was the last one to do it in terms of 5 field goals for a rookie. Brandon Aubrey goes 5 for 5. Did what they needed to do on a couple of occasions, put it in between the uprights. We'll leave you with the shot outside of the Cowboys locker room. We're going to hear some Cowboys post-game reaction on Cowboys game night and Cowboys OT coming up in just a little bit. Here are the final stats. The Cowboys dominant on the defensive side of the football in a 30-10 win over the New York Jets. It's a W in Arlington. The Cowboys 2-0 to start the 2023 season. And that's it for the first word, presented by Dr. Pepper.